All right, we're down at the bottom of page 2 in the notes, 9.4, solving equations by factoring. So this is going to bring back some stuff in quadratics. So part A on that says x squared plus 3x equals 18. One of the things you have to do, you have to get one side to be 0. So I am going to take the 18 and I'm going to subtract that. Now you have to be careful. Now, I am actually showing the work just so we make the connection. This is x squared plus 3x minus 18 equals 0. Now I've got that side to be 0. You might say, why didn't I take those and make it something like 15x? Because they're not like terms, okay? Now, once we have these into a what we call a trinomial, we got a square term, an x term, and a constant term. We're going to try to factor these. This goes back to what we did a long time ago now, where we take x times x, and that's x squared. Now we look at the 18, and the 18, we're going to write all the ways to get 18. So you take your calculator, 1 times 18, you divide it. Divide 18 by 2, you get 9. Divide 18 by 3, you get 6. Divided by 4, it doesn't work. Divided by 5, it doesn't work. Divided by 6, it'll work, but we're not going to repeat it. We already have 6 and 3, so we're not going to write that one again. So we have all the possibilities. Now, we're going to look, and we're going to say which ones subtract and get 3. There's 2 of them that subtract. If you subtract them, you can get 3, and that's a 3 and a 6. If I make this one negative and this one positive, 6 minus 3 would get me positive 3. And a positive 6 and a negative 3, if I multiply them, would get me negative 18. Remember doing that stuff? We did that quite a while. So it's almost the answer. But now you have to finish it, and you take each of the factors. You go x minus 3 equals 0. We add 3. X equals 3. Because if I were to put 3 into here, it would make that turn into 0. That's the goal, to figure out which one turns into 0. X plus 6 equals 0. And x is negative 6. Okay. Okay, so that's 1. Part B, everybody ready? 4x squared equals 2x. Now, my general rule is this. I look at the one with the x squared. If it's positive, I leave it alone. If it's not positive, then I'll move that. I don't like the x squared to be negative, so I'm going to subtract 2x. In subtracting 2x, the reason I did that, I got this side to be 0, but I look over here. Those two are not like terms, so I don't combine them in any way. I just have this. I have 4x squared minus 2x. Okay, now this one, it's not a 1, 2, 3. Like the last one had 3 terms. This one only has 2. So in the case of 2 terms, you try to factor out the greatest common factor. 4 and 2, I'm going to factor out a 2. X squared and x, I'm going to factor out an x. And then I'm going to figure out what's left over. Oh, I jumped up one, didn't I? I looked at the wrong part on B. Sorry. I'm going to go down to the B and do the correct B. Thank you for stopping me. Okay, I copied down the wrong problem. I looked up one. Okay, so this one has an x squared. This one will have 3 terms. I'm going to subtract x from each side. I get x squared minus 11x equals negative 28. Next, I'm going to add 28 to each side. X squared minus 11x plus 28 equals 0. Yep. All right. So x, and Next. 28. 1 times 28. 2 times 14. 3 doesn't work. 4 and 7. 5 doesn't work, and then we're done. Okay, 6 doesn't work either. 6 gets a smaller number. But they have to add up to negative 11. Well, 4 and 7 add to 11, but if I want negative 11, I'll make them both negative. So I make it negative 4, negative 7, because that'll get me negative 11. Now I set each of those equal to 0. If I set this one equal to 0, x minus 4 equals 0, I get x equals 4. X minus 7 equals 0. X equals 7. Okay, notes packet, bottom of page 2, part C. Any questions? S squared minus 2s equals 24. What do you suppose we do first? We want to get one side to be 0. What should we get rid of? Move the negative 2s? No. Let's move the 24. It's the only thing over here. If we move the 24, that side becomes 0 right now. So we'll subtract 24 over here. So we get s squared minus 2s minus 24. And we don't put any of them together because none of them are like terms. Last time we had a few that were like terms. So now we can start to factor. Instead of x and x, it's s times s. And we look at the 24. To get 24, 1 times 24. All the ways to multiply and get 24. 2 times 12, 3 times 8, 4 times 6. 5 doesn't work. Then we're back to a 6. So these, they have to subtract. And when you subtract them, you get negative 2. Which do subtract? Which ones are 2 apart? 4 and 6. I want a negative 2, so I'm going to make this a positive and the 6 a negative. So plus 4 minus 6. In case you've forgotten, we look at those. That's negative 6s. That's positive 4s. Put them together, you get the negative 2s. 6 times 4 is 24, and it would be negative because one of them is negative. So now s plus 4 equals 0. S minus 6 equals 0. S equals negative 4. S equals 6. So our two answers here are negative 4 and 6. D. N squared minus 7n equals 120. What should we get rid of? 120. There we go. So we have n squared minus 7n minus 120 equals 0. N times n squared, and we have 120. 1 and 120, 2 and 60, 3 and 40, 4 and 30. Use your calculator to figure these out. 5 times 24, 6 times 20, 7 doesn't work. 8 times 15, 9, I don't think 9 works. 10 times 12. Whew, that's a lot of them. 10 times 12. Subtract them, you get 7. Which ones subtract to 7? 8 and 15. Which one do we want to be negative? The 15. Because then we have positive 8 minus 15 That'll get us -7. N plus 8 equals 0. N is -8. N minus 15 equals 0. N is 15. E, y squared equals 17y minus 72. All right, this one. Now, I'm not going to move the y squared. You might say, why not? I want it to be positive. So I'm going to leave it. It's positive. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to subtract 17y. And I'm going to add 72 all in one shot. You might say, that's weird. Well, these two go away. These two go away. I made that side 0. And none of those are going to be put together. So I get y squared minus 17y plus 72. It's really not that confusing. Does that make sense? Now, you could move all of those things without showing that work. I want to show you that. I'm going to do that a little bit shorter. Everybody, I'm going to restart this one. And I'm going to do it this way. Y squared equals 17y minus 72. And I'm going to do this. If I move this one over here, it becomes negative 17y, and I had to subtract it to get rid of it. If I move this one over here, it becomes plus 72 because I had to add it to get rid of it, and that side's 0. Does that make some sense? You're getting to a point where you should be able to move it to the other side, and it changes the sign, right? So you can do it with less work. But now we got y here and y here. We have 72. 1 times 72, 2 times 36. 3 times 24. 4 times 18. 5 doesn't work. 6 times 12. 7 doesn't work. 8 times 9. They have to add up to negative 17. So in other words, they have to add to 17. And then they both have to be negative. -8, -9. Oh, now let's see if we can make a stretch. What do you think that one is then? What do we put in there to make that one be 0? 8. Now you can go y minus 8 equals 0, and then add 8. You're going to get that same thing. What do you think that one is then? 9. They end up being the answers over there. In that sense, are opposite. You got to be careful with that. They end up being the opposites. All right, part F looks kind of confusing. This one's got a couple of w squareds. So we got to look and we got to say, well, I got that one, I got that one. Those two actually are going to get combined, but they're on opposite sides. So I do have to move them. Okay? So I subtract them. Now over here, what that's going to get when I put those together is just a w squared. You might say, why didn't you move the 2? You've always moved the other one because I want the w squared to be positive. Okay? All right? I'm going to add 56. And that gets me 0. Okay? Equals doesn't work. 6 doesn't work. 7 works. Well, which one of those add to 18? 4 and 14. So W equals? Negative 4. W equals negative 14. I'm going to move the 3x. Why am I moving the 3x? This one's already positive over here. X squared plus 3x minus 70 equals 0. None of them are the same. None of them are like terms. So we can't put any of them together. 1 and 70. 2 and 35. 3 doesn't work. 4 doesn't work. 5 and 14. 6 doesn't work. 7 and 10. 7. Next one I have it. All right. So which ones subtract 3? So which one do we want negative? 7. Good. So x equals 7, x equals negative 10. H. D squared plus 10 equals 51D minus 88. Is that positive? Yes or no? Then we're going to move everything to that side. Everything over to the left. Okay? So I am going to subtract 51D from each side. And I'm going to add 88. Now the 88 and the 10 are like terms. Over here, gone, gone, 0. That's the goal, to make that side 0. D squared minus 51D plus 98. One and 98, 2 and 49. 3 doesn't work, 4 doesn't work, 5 doesn't work, 6 doesn't work. I believe 7 works. 7 and 14. 8 doesn't work, 9 doesn't work, 10 doesn't work, and we got them all. They have to add up to 51. And 49. Make them both negative because they got to be negative 51. So D is 2 and D is